Grado is a company out of Brooklyn, New York that's loved and hated by the audio community for a lot of different reasons. And today I'm here to tell you why these are amazing and why I can't recommend them for everyone. This is the Grado SR60e, my first actual good set of headphones. These are an on-ear, open-back, dynamic headphone, and they come in for around $80. These have been replaced by the SR60X, but from what I know of, they're pretty much the same thing. It's just the 60X has a padded headband, a slightly different driver, and they're $20 more. The build quality is okay. It's not the best, but it does get a pass because they're hand-built in Brooklyn, and if, it's hand-built in Brooklyn, you're kind of allowed to be cheap. It's mostly plastic, but the headband and the adjustment rods are metal. They are a little squeaky, but that normally goes away, I think. One of the most controversial things with Grado is their cables, which is understandable because this is the thickest cable I think I've ever seen on a set of headphones. It's like a guitar lead. And that's one of their downsides because the headphones themselves weigh almost nothing. The cable is a big contribution to the weight, and it's not removable either, which is why the most popular thing to do with a set of Grados is a removable cable mod. And I mean like 70% of the people who buy these do a removable cable mod. Okay, comfort. Not the best, but it's not unbearable. You have to do a couple things to them, which I'll get into in a minute. The headphone padding is this vinyl material, and it's actually not that bad if you have hair. And I don't know why this wasn't padded from the beginning. These have been out since 1994, and it took them 26 years to figure that out. The ear pads are actually really nice and soft after they get broken in. But the problem is, these super soft ear pads are being utilized in an on-ear headphone with a very considerable clamp force out of the box. These actually hurt after a little while, which brings me to what you have to do to them. You gotta tell them to get bent. No, really, you bend the headband to the right clamping force for you. I personally like a looser clamp that'll still come into contact with my ears, and there are a couple other things you can do with the headband and the pads, but I'll get into those next week. Now, onto the one reason of why people buy these. Sound. These are the most unique sounding headphones I have ever heard. There's almost nothing to compare these to. It's actually more common to compare things to these than for these to get compared to something else. Here's the graph. Bass? What bass? The bass is pretty recessed, but Grados aren't about bass. They're about detail. Looking at the mid-range, you'll see that these are very flat, but then you'll see a peak in the upper mid-range instead of a dip, and that's part of the reason why these are so unique sounding. These reveal a frequency range that's normally hidden by headphones. And I'm not kidding, they do reveal some stuff I didn't know was there. And look at that treble. It's a square. This is a big part of the reason of why these sound so different. What other headphones do you know of that have a frequency response graph with 4 right angles in it? Now, the graph looks nuts, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they sound bad. These sound great. These are able to reveal details in music that I had no idea were there. Kinda similar to the DT990s, but not really. However, because of that peak in the upper mid-range, it does mean that these are shouty. Nothing super serious, but these can get fatiguing after a little while. This is one reason why some people don't like Grados, because in some cases these can get pretty intense, but that doesn't stop me from absolutely loving them. I'll be quick with soundstage and imaging. Soundstage is good, not the widest, pretty good, and the imaging is equally good. Not super accurate, but still pretty good. Before I wrap things up, I'll go over power requirements real quick. These are 32 ohms and have a sensitivity level of about 99 decibels per milliwatt. You can run these with anything. You can run them off an amp, but I can't really tell a difference between running them off my laptop and running them off my amplifier. The thing that's going to make the most difference is the quality of your DAC. So an amp is not required, and I don't recommend an amp for these because they're so stupidly easy to drive. Okay, so these have an okay build. They're not very comfortable out of the box, they're kind of portable, but they sound great. Do I recommend these? Kind of. If you want that Grado sound, yes. If you want to get into the modding community, yes. But if you're just starting to get into the realm of high-end audio, not really, because SHP 9500s exist. I'm not saying that these are bad. I'm actually quite fond of them. And I am partly biased because these were my first good headphones, but that doesn't affect my opinion too much. But just remember that there are better options out there. So unless you really want the Grado sound, you might want to look elsewhere. But I do highly recommend that Grado sound. Alright, thanks for watching. There's a link in the description to go buy these if you really want to. And next week I'm going to go over a couple pad mods that you can do to improve the comfort of these dramatically. Alright, I see you next week.